broke right off. Big Snorkus on there. Full 3-inch all the way down to the plate. Massive filter, can't have too much filter element. Yeah, that's all done. Now I gotta move on to pulling the skid, disassembling that, swapping the rails, pulling the track out. We're gonna swap that back to the original 1.3 Cobra that came on this, the R-rated one, and throw some traditional style studs in that for next season. And then I'm repurposing the 1.5 Storm with iGrips in it onto something else. That's a different project, whole different video series, so we're not gonna touch on that. But yeah, I'll cover very quickly, very briefly, how to do all of this stuff. Most of it in terms of track swap and chain case service and all that stuff has been covered in previous videos, so feel free to scroll back and look at those. But I'll touch on it all briefly as we go through it. And yeah, just continue on with covering our preseason, end of season, preseason for this thing next season. Let's get into it. Yoinking the track out, super easy, 17mm bolt on each side. This cross shaft is like hollow through here, or the support is hollow, the shaft is in there. If you break this one free and pull it all the way out, the other side's just gonna spin most likely. These have been apart 1,000 times, so they're just gonna blast out with an impact. If it's your first one with all the Loctite, you're gonna have to spin the bolt in and out, in and out, in and out. Tighten it, do the same thing on the other side, and then play that game where you bounce back and forth till you get them out. Front, 17mm bolt, 17mm nut, do those, track tension, boom, boom, pull this thing out, off we go. And then side panels, muffler, all that crap in there, chain case, blah, 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 clutch stuff, yada, yada, yada. Pull the driver out. So you have your retainer plate here, 6 T40s, blast that out. And then you gotta make slack in track. Make sure that little plate comes through here. That's it. Oh no, it's leaking all over there. Why is it doing that? There's a bunch in the seal. No. Wow, that one's fucking toast too. Lower the chain case side driver bearing smoked. Go make my list. Let go. Ow, sharp, pointy. All right, well, we're in here doing our due diligence. Let's see if I can get this angled up right. So I already, conveniently already cleaned and repacked this before I did a little check here. I'm sure you can hear it. So we don't have the best tolerance in here. I do have another one of these bearings. I had planned on using it on the driver, but that bearing isn't bad. It still spins free and everything, so I kind of feel like I got to pull this cover off first, right? But then once I pull the cover off and check that, make sure that bearing hasn't spun a ton. I'm guessing that when it's assembled with the rotor and everything in there, it had enough side pressure on it that it was tight in the chassis side housing. So I got to pull this apart, check all that out, make sure none of this is destroyed, and then go from there. But the bearing itself cleaned up and repacked just fine. But yeah, that play side to side isn't great. So yeah, I don't know. I got to pull this cover off, check all that, and then I'll probably reassemble it, put the rotor, gear, all that on, tighten it, see if there's still a bunch of play, and then go from there. I do have another outer plate on hand, so we'll see. We'll see what we get here in a bit, pulling all that apart. But that's why I'm doing all this now before we continue to turn it up and stress everything and go from there. So yeah, off I go, continuing on. So you missed that little bit of me pulling the bolts out, but hasn't spun. Let go. Why? There we go. Yeah, it's never spun. Huh. That's quite odd. The you see how shiny, clean the inner is. It's not shiny from spun. There's no drag marks in a direction at all. Huh, that's odd. All right, so back with this here. I didn't film it, but I did clean everything up, outside races of the bearings and stuff. They're all good, like we said. There's no spin action, so it never spun in this housing or in the plate, thankfully. Luckily, the force, clamping force from the other side, brake side, all being assembled through the case, held it tight enough into the tunnel side support that it never spun. But with the new plate on, bolted up, we don't have any play in the actual housing. We have just the center race in the bearing, which is all acceptable tolerance right there. But we don't have any bearing movement within the two housings now. So most likely the little stamped retainer here just got a little bit wore out from heat and mileage and abuse and stress and all that good stuff. So when I put this back together, I did put some red Loctite on the outside race of this bearing, which should set up a little bit. You could use the green bearing set, but then you're never gonna get it apart even with heat. I mean, you could probably get it hot enough to where you could pound it out of there. But I think the red is just a little bit of extra, what's the word here? Not confidence, but you know what I'm saying. A little bit extra peace of mind, a little peace of mind that that's gonna set into there a little bit better. So this is all good to go now, and we can continue on with pulling other bearings and seals out and getting ready for that stuff to show up tomorrow for reassembly. All right, just for the fun of it, because it's not gonna hurt anything, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this side too. Oh, this is the old bearing out of the case. A little doodad, we'll get our rotor. We'll tighten that up just by hand loose to hold all the tension together, and hopefully that housing over there with the red Loctite sets a little bit. We'll let that sit overnight, and then, yeah, in the meantime, I gotta pull the seal and the lower bearing out. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not. Well, that one's smoked too, so yeah, onward we go. Hopefully this ratchet strap, let's go, crushes me. Ta-da! Whoa, that thing is cooked! You stop making all that noise over there? Whoa. Never use your hand as a hammer. Oh, 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 oh. Ah, you whore. So these usually come out of that case kind of hard. So I tend to warm them up with the old map gas here. I feel like we're a little close on our frameage here. Let's do this. That's not good for the torch. So you generally need to do this heat when you're putting the new one in too. So when the new one shows up, I'll throw it right in the freezer right away, shrink the bearing down, and then we come out here, we warm the case up a bit, and then they pop right back in. Without it, Without the heat action, they come out really hard and they go in really hard. And with the stupid toe hold and stuff, you don't really have a ton of room to press them in real good. So this is generally the route that we go here. And by we, I mean me with a mouse in my pocket. All right, let's see if that gets us what we need here. Oh God, that's hot. Boom! Ta-da! Ah! Oh God. Dude, this thing's bad. Oh. Hear that? Ow, you little bastard! Disassembling the skid here, starting with idler wheels and cleaning all the bolts, checking all the bearings. We already got one that has a completely shot bearing. Poor sled took it hard. Oh, Elbird was hard on this thing last couple of years. Why won't that one even? Oh, I didn't unbolt that one yet. Take that guy off of there. Oh, that one's no good. So this linkage hits on the inner wheel. Not a lot, but a little bit. Self-clearancing, if you will. So we got some light wear marks on our wheels, on the inners that sit down here next to the linkage. The bottom corners of the linkage hardware definitely rub on the wheel at full compression, but not really gonna worry about that. So I'm just continuing on with the disassembly here, pulling the majority of stuff apart. I'm not gonna pull any of the high gear linkage things apart because I don't need to, and they've all remained tight. When I assembled all that with some blue Loctite and the Nylocks and everything, they've all retained or remained tight. Nothing's fell apart like the rest of the IGX skid. So I'm gonna leave all that together and just take this whole assembly right out and put it into the new rails. But in the meantime, pulling the springs off, cleaning up all this stuff, checking these bearings, just the whole super intricate process. It's not super intricate, it's just involved of pulling everything apart and checking it all. What I normally like to do in the preseason, but now that everything has just taken off and escalated, I don't generally have the time to do so anymore. So I have to do it now when I'm in between snowmobile and car work and have a little bit of time. Yucko. That one's old. Well, yeah, that one's old. Okay, I have stuff everywhere right now trying to reassemble this, but we get to the lower front track shock here. Put the wrench on, wrench, to put the lower bolts in, and honestly just to zip them up and snug them, not even to actually give them an ugga-dugga home, broke right off. This was the same bolt as the side that was really egged out and took a lot of a beating. I hope this shows on there. You can see this thing was stress cracked for a long time. So I'm gonna have to send the front track shock out to Andy over at Wenslaff Performance and have him put a shorter bump stop in, because what happens with these IGXs and why these things either bend this or shear the bolts quite often, basically the shock bottoms out before the torque arm bottoms out on the rail, so you have all that force from the compression event just going into these bolts on either side. XCRs and the Rush chassis had this same issue, or the Rush chassis had this issue, and they fixed it for the XCRs by going to kind of that gull-wing style mount on the Pro CCs. Yeah, basically just got to have the bump stop be, I think, about 3/16 or 1/4 of an inch shorter overall, somewhere in that region, and then the torque arm will mate and hit the bump stop on the rail around the same time as the bump stop in the shock. Either way, it's not good, because this is the second one that I've broken. Luckily, this happened here in the shop, not out on the trail again. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have encountered this same thing. Yeah, you know, why change it if it keeps breaking? You know, not like we learned that on the Rush chassis. We'll just keep doing the same thing all over again. So now I got to fight with getting this bolt out. I got to swap over the little bump stops on the front of the rail, a bunch of other slides, wheels, blah, 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 blah. But we're going along, putting it back together, just taking my time, cleaning everything up as I go. So now, fight with this. Hoping that we can just take these fancy leverage boys here. Oh yeah, not a fight at all. Spin it right out. All right, battery died on that thing. We're still plugging along, getting this reassembled. I basically did that right there, and it broke that other bolt right off. Crazy. That's done, those are done. I gotta do this guy here, and then that'll probably be it for today. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup because this is really starting to bug me. Come on. All right, you're gonna make me do this. Okay, pop! Blow that bolt apart too. Sick! Oh, plugging away on everything here. We got most of the skid back together. Switching idler wheel styles around, and I'm going to be putting Skidoo idler wheels on this because they have the little cap on the outside to keep everything out of the bearing. Because I'm sick of replacing bearings. These Polaris wheels are junk. So I've got to scour eBay and try to find as many of those solid round Skidoo ones as I can with the cap and whatever. Probably going to end up spending $35 a wheel or something stupid, but it is what it is. It'll pay for itself in the long run with bearings. Moving away from that, we've got just a bunch of fresh hardware in this thing. I'll show you guys. Fresh ones down here, fresh bolts here, just a bunch of new bolts, a little extra brace back here. Let's see, what else? We got all the One Rig stuff on, the fancy braces here, quite a bit thicker, quite a bit stronger than the stock ones. The scratcher kit, all that stuff, you know, all the goodies there. And yeah, it's pretty much about ready to go in. These two idlers are gonna stay out till I find the ones that I want. I added others to this skid, so I think these maybe? I don't know. I added wheels along the way. Now I need some extras because I'm using different style and whatever. Well, we covered that quickly. Bearings have been in the freezer for the lower case and the upper case cover. So those are out of the freezer, in the fridge. Put a little heat to stuff, warm it up, and it should just slide right in. So let's get into doing that. And then skid maybe? Oh no, I gotta put slides on. I gotta modify my slides, cut them to length, put those in, then the skid can go back in, and then I can do reassembly tomorrow. And then that'll be done. Then we can bring the 650 in, put that back to stock, because hopefully by the time this video comes out, that thing has been sold. Just because I need to thin the herd a little bit. Got too many sleds, can't ride them all. All right, a little bit of warming. Norman. Whoop, whoop. Well, it's gonna be hot in there. No seal on the backside, so don't really have to worry about damaging that. Got a couple new ones. still quite surprised at how beat these bearings were, even for being bathed in oil all the time. This lower one was just smoked. But it did have that chain brake. It did have a lot of force down in there, so whatever. Let's move you guys over here. And it might just slide right in, but I might still have to tap it a little bit. There she goes. That's it. So we had it just slightly crooked. The bottom was out a little bit. Once we corrected that, right in, not too bad. It's, as you can see, if you don't do the heat and freeze trick, and you got to actually really press it in there, you'll probably be better off to do like a big washer and a bolt and a big washer and a nut and draw it through that way rather than trying to like tap and press anything through, just because this toe hold doesn't leave you much room. So that's that, your alternative. A couple big washers, bolt, draw it in, off you go. But now, snap ring, seal on the back side. We'll do the seal while it's still warm, and yeah, that'll be that. Oh God. You whore. There we go. Oh yeah. Not too bad, not so bad. All right, onto the chain case cover we go as this falls and crushes me. Oh God, it's moving. All right, same deal. Fresh seal. Let's warm this cover up a bit. O-ring is still in the backside, so obviously don't want to melt that out, but same deal, warm the cover up a good bit. Cold bearing right in there. Actually, gross stuff in here. Not corrosion, obviously, but this is why things take me a long time, because I too picky. I don't know if that's enough heat. Yeah, pretty warm. Oh yeah. Look at that. Fell right in there. All right, we're gonna let that sit, cool off, acclimate, tighten up, and then we'll do our seal after that. Might as well show some of this while I'm doing it. I think I covered it in another video a while back, but for removing this driver bearing, as you can see, this one I have cleaned and repacked once, maybe twice, but it's just dirty and gross. And while I'm in here doing all this other shit with all these other bearings, I have one on hand. I might as well go ahead and do it. You can get a puller in here if you have jaws that are just right. It's way easier for me to just take the old air hammer, move the little brace plate. I don't know how well that's showing up here. Let's just do this so I don't have to hold things. Move the brace plate, get in it from here, bap, 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 spin it, bap, 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 spin it, over and over and over. And eventually, just walks itself right off. Ta-da! Yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, you damage the bearing a bit doing that, but you're replacing it because it's bad anyway, so who cares? New bearing. Don't want to put the new one in the freezer. You want to put the shaft in the freezer, but I don't have that done. So it's just gonna get whackered on there. You wouldn't have the little burrs if you just used a puller. Whatever, nerd. This is way quicker. I'd still be there dicking around with a puller trying to get the jaws to hold just right. I know that because I've done it before. If these burrs are being stubborn, I'll show you what we do. Wrong end. Ta-da. That's that. Another fun bit for your driver. Chain case side, right? Always got to clean this thing out, brake clean, get the Loctite out, get the gear oil out, because if there's gear oil in here, your new Loctite's never going to set. Then your bolt's going to back out, wear through the cover. This was a bolt I put in last season because everything broke. I have a new OEM one. Okay, that's done. We gotta find a socket for our inner race here. This, bang, 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 hammer that on. Make sure you don't forget your plate. Make sure your plate's going the right way. 1-inch socket, it's gonna work pretty good. Just gonna do a little bit of that. Just give it a little something, help it get started there. Well, drive it home, done. One for good measure. And we are good to go. If you want to get really picky, you could pop the seal out now and go ahead and refresh that or make sure that it's packed up all the way. I wasn't going to, but now I might as well that I'm talking about it. Let's see what we're working with here on this brand new one. It's probably going to be dry as a bone, piss me right off. Nope, I can see some coming out already. Yeah, not bad. A little wet though. Yeah, it do be having some in it, but we're gonna go ahead here. You don't want to overpack it either. Just blow the seal out. We're gonna take this, a little bit of this number. There we go. I know there's probably gonna be some goober who's gonna go, you're not supposed to mix the grease types because it's gonna react and do this and that and blah, 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 blah. This thing's gonna get broken again and pulled apart and replaced again before that's ever gonna matter. And it's gonna be better than the dried one that was in there. So I don't wanna hear it. Make sure the seal lip is all the way in. All right, good to go. All right, now we can put our seal into the cover. And we're pretty much done. We can move on to sliders, drill the track, mark the track, come up with whatever template I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do there yet. At least 3 per flat. Let's see, where can I stick this thing? Sure. All right, skid's back in. Mostly assembled except for that one middle idler wheel assembly till we get those sorted. Track, oh, I'm way out of frame, love that. Track is all drilled, ready for studs, which that'll be in the fall. Intake's back on, gonna do the hood, button it up, and that's pretty much it. Then it's pretty much ready to go aside from throwing the studs in the fall when I order those and get all that done up. But yeah, didn't really cover too much of the final assembly of the skid and putting that in because you guys have probably seen me do that. I don't even know how many times across the channel in different machines and whatnot, so that's that. Yeah, we'll pick this back up in the fall when we start doing some studding.